quick video of the newest truck I've got this time around. There's no light switch over there. Nothing on the door for controls for the mirrors or door lock or anything like that, because they went and moved the light switch to clear over here, which I think is kind of a safety hazard. If you have two people in here, if the guy wants to play around, the passenger wants to play around and mess with the driver, all he's got to do is reach up and kill the lights at night as they're driving. Big time safety hazard in my opinion. But they are planning on having more than one person in here, because this passenger seat is air ride seat, and that's extra money that they'd have to put in versus a regular passenger seat that doesn't have it. Most of the time the bench seat and the other bucket seats that are passenger side don't have the air ride, so they are planning on having a second person in here for crew. But I'm thinking it's a dumpster truck that has the rollback dumpster, you know, they roll back off and they roll it back on and stuff like that, because it's got the controls for a flatbed up and down and airbags and for the off-road and all that stuff where it would have to go. So it's either a rollback dumpster truck or a high pole utility service bid that has because it has the PTO auto neutral switch to make sure the truck's in neutral and on the brake is parked and all that is locked on before you can bring the bed up and down. Might be the same thing for the rollback for the dumpster too. I'm not sure which one, but this truck comes from Laredo, not Elmendorf. Elmendorf is a suburb of San Antonio, and those mud flaps in the back tend to be better built coming out of Laredo. I do like that idea, but not having to run an Elmendorf truck this weekend because I don't have to fight with the mud flaps as much. I'll go back there and show you in a second. But I just wanted to show you the fact that this morning in the dark, well, I should say last night in the dark, I had to manually adjust the mirrors, because I thought since there's roll-up door, manual roll-up, manual lock, I believed it was manual windows mirrors too. But when you get to looking down here in the daylight, that's an actual electric mirror switch. So these mirrors are electric, and then they are heated also on that switch, which is kind of weird. Again, they have just a weird setup, in my opinion, in this truck. Then the other thing is your cruise control setting off and how much and all that are up here, your exhaust brake, your differential lock and all that. I have these markers covered because last night as I was driving, I don't normally drive the trucks at night, but I had to pull this one out of Laredo late. These markers are usually, this side is usually your cruise and a little bit of the menu options for the dash, and that side is usually the radio settings, so you can play around with the radio and your phone Bluetooth settings, and then more of your dash cruise settings. But they've taken all of that out but left the buttons on. So they must be planning on using these steering wheel control buttons to run the dumpster arms up and down, or the lift back gate thing up and down as they're rolling back, or the camera views might be. And I'm guessing they're gonna build in a camera mount system right here or something, and that's why they've removed all the buttons on the side, because it's kind of odd that they removed the light switch and put it over there secondary. So I believe they're gonna mount something right here. It's probably a camera monitor for a bunch of camera systems around this truck, so that they can see what they're doing with the dumpster. Or if it's a service body truck, a light pole like utility truck, it'll be cameras to see where the bucket is. But I just thought I would show you that, and then I'll get out here in a minute after this truck goes by here, and show you the back mud flaps that come from Laredo versus the mud flaps that come from Elmendorf, which is a suburb of San Antonio, Texas. Both these types of trucks come from Mexico. They just come from different factories in Mexico. They come over the border and then they're staged in those staging lots in Laredo and Elmendorf, and then we pick them up from there, because it's something like the U.S. drivers have to be the ones that drive them the majority of the way in the U.S. Be my guess. Probably something to do with like the visas that the Mexicans get to bring them over the border. Only allow them to go so far, would be my guess. But Laredo, excuse me for the wind ahead of time, because the wind decided to go up just as I'm making a video. You know, Elmendorf only had about half this board. Had like a 2x2. Laredo actually supplies a 2x4, but cut back a little, thicker. And then Elmendorf has the flaps on this side stapled in very pathetically, in my opinion, and I have to use clamps to hold them in place. But these ones have nails, rivets, whatever you want to call them, and they're posted on this side of the board, which makes a hell of a lot more sense, because now the wind has to fight the board going that way instead of just fighting the mud flap going off this way. For those of you who care about my, my current job working, I just thought I'd show you the differences between a Laredo truck and an Elmendorf. I don't have to worry about those mud flaps as often. This one will still have issues on occasion if you hit something really hard or whatnot, so you still gotta watch it a little, but it's not as bad as the Elmendorf cheap version ones that come from a different factory. But I just thought I would show you the difference today in something that I'm driving, and then I had to put the blue tape on last night because these buttons that are not marked with anything yet, that are lights, they're backlit, I should say, and then when they put the markers on there to light up only the word part of the light instead of the entire thing. And that's how they're usually set up. They're kind of set up like that, but where the white will come through and when it's lit up at night. But since they don't have them installed yet, this thing is brighter than hell. And it's like car like bright in my face. Last night I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna run this. But 2 or 3 layers of tape later, it was enough. It still shines through blue at night, but it was enough that I could drive last night for an hour. I am not planning on driving this thing at night any of the rest of the trip, because this goes from Laredo, Texas to Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is 744 miles. Would not have been enough to do in one log, because the max I can do is like 650 with no brakes, which is the minimum half an hour break, and that's it, and drive all day. And then I'd have to take 10 hours off still, so I still wouldn't make it there by Friday, which is today at 3 o'clock when they close in Las Cruces. So I'm kind of sort of stuck with these wheels all weekend, and I was hoping for a bench seat so I could sleep there, but of course they're bucket seats. I am going to pick up some cardboard, thick pieces of cardboard out of a cardboard dumpster, and I discovered last night that I can sleep this way just about if I didn't have a cold floor, but it was too late at night last night to go try and find cardboard out in the desert in the middle of nowhere in small little towns. So I'm gonna wait till I get to a bigger town and get cardboard, and then one of those nights I'm gonna stay in the truck. Then I have a free night for Wyndham is doing buy 2 get 1 free, and I have a free night from buying 2 stays previously, and then I'm gonna try and buy what amounts to 2 more stays, about $50 a night stays, discounted rate. Certain places only give you that rate, other Wyndham properties don't. But so you have to search for them a little bit. But these desert towns like Las Cruces has a Days Inn that'll do it, and like Lordsburg and all that other kind of stuff on other trips. But this one's only going as far as Las Cruces. But I'm thinking I'm gonna stay either. I'm only like a 60, not even 60, 20 miles from Fort Stockton, Texas at the moment. But I think I'm gonna drive further today, and then I only have El Paso's the next biggest town, and then you get into Las Cruces, New Mexico. So, but I wouldn't make it there by 3 o'clock, even with the brakes and whatnot. My luck, I'd get there just in time for them to close the doors in my face and say, sorry, can't deliver it. And even if they do deliver it, I don't get paid till Monday anyway, so I'm just gonna keep the wheels for the weekend and slow roll it. And that's the other thing, is this is set as a maximum of 55 mile an hour, so I'm forced to slow roll it anyway. That's why I say it must be a garbage truck or an overhit power line truck or something that's just gonna be local to that area once they or whatever area it goes to after they put the bid on. But I just thought I would show you everything and talk about it a little bit. The difference is you can get these trucks various different ways. You can get the column shifter, you can get the stick shifter here, you can get the electric shifter like this has. You can get it with a trailer pull air brake, or with the truck air brake, or both, depending on the kind of needs of the truck. And then not all of them have the lower setup of lights and switches. Some of them have that one, and I don't know why they put the cup holder lower. Yeah, but me, it's kind of dumb because, in my opinion, they're just gonna make those switches all sticky when human beings, have a coffee in here that don't have a lid on it and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, but yet they have all this space up here. They could have put that up further, in my opinion. Because you could have put all your power supply stuff right here easily, because these are just add-ons after the fact. You could have put them here and then moved all this up another couple inches. Would have helped with that, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't design them, I'm just saying. And then, like I said earlier, that light switch, I would, you know, even if I was driving in here with a crew that I trusted, I don't like the idea of having a light switch, because all your lights go off right here manually, even at night. It's not an automatic deal where the sensor where it can tell that it's nighttime. Well, as I was driving, I tested it to see, and sure enough, if you switch that to manual off, everything goes off. So if somebody wanted to kill you here, I'm not gonna pick up a hitchhiker this time around anyway, but had I picked up a hitchhiker at night or whatever, you know, that'd be a very dumb idea in this truck, because they could easily reach over there and mess with you, whether they're meant to do it as a joke or meant to do it to kill you both or what. You know, it's my opinion, putting a light switch over there is stupid, unless this is going to be set up as a solo truck where you take this seat out altogether. But like I said earlier in the video, this has air ride, so they paid extra for the air ride system. So they are planning on having a second person in here as part of the crew, as your helper or whatever. And I could see the helper having all access to all your extra buttons that you control the dumpster, you control the bucket or whatever, as the guy's driving along. You know, if you have to have such a deal where this truck moves slowly and then the other guy's doing stuff with it, I can see why they have all the extra buttons on that side for that. But the lights is kind of stupid, in my opinion. I mean, you could put just the flasher light thing on that side if you had to have that guy warn people with traffic or whatever with flashers, without taking the headlights, the main headlight system, putting it over there. But like I say, they must be planning on mounting something here. The only idea I can come up with is most likely there's going to be a camera monitoring set up here, like I've seen in some garbage truck videos before, where they mount it down there from the dash. The mount of it comes off the dash, so it's not on the door itself, but then your monitor for that system is there. Loud traffic. Like and subscribe and leave comments. I'll catch you in a flip. Peace.